Alaskans, wherever you are, welcome to the Must Read Alaska Show. Coming to you from somewhere in Alaska. This is the place where we talk about, you guessed it, Alaska. Where we keep the mainstream media on their toes and where we are standing up for what's right in a world run by leftists. You can find out more by heading over to mustreadalaska.com and also checking out the Must Read Alaska YouTube channel for some really great content. But first, let's get this party started.
Welcome, everybody, to the Must Read Alaska Show. I'm your host, John Quick, coming to you live from somewhere in Alaska. Hope everybody is having a phenomenal week so far. Kids are back in school. Looking like it's fall out. Temperatures are dropping. And, man, this fall has been beautiful on the Kenai Peninsula. I hope it's been beautiful where folks are at. We got election season in the mix. And we're doing a special spotlight this summer and this fall where candidates can go onto the Must Read Alaska Facebook page. Pinned to the top of the page, there's a little post. If you're running for office, Democrat, Republican, independent, nonpartisan, everything between, you can sign up and we can talk for 10 or 15 minutes on why you're running for office. So we have a very special guest today, somebody who's been on a couple times. He is a fan favorite for the Must Read Alaska crowd, liked all over the state. Welcome back to the Must Read Alaska Show, Representative Mike Cronk.
Hey, thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Well, super excited to have you back on and talk a little bit about why you're running for Senate. You threw your name in the hat. Tell me about what made you throw your name in the hat to run for Senate.
Well, Senator Bishop had called me and he goes, "Hey, I'll call you tomorrow. I'm going to run again." And so, it was really close to that last week before the deadline. And he called me the next day, like you said, and he goes, "Hey, I'm not going to run. Do you have somebody for your House seat?" And I'm like, "Not really, but we'll find somebody." So it was pretty much pretty quick, change of events there. And so I decided to file, and I guess the reason is I felt the House, we did some really good things, and I guess it's a progression if you look at it that way. I don't pretend to be a politician, but representing my district that I currently represent, and then also West Fairbanks seems like a pretty natural fit, as I spent 5 years of my life attending UAF, playing basketball for the Nanooks and stuff, and Fairbanks is like the second home to me. So I felt I've done a good job representing Fairbanks, even as the House rep for 36 at this time, which does include part of Fairbanks, which is the Goldstream Valley. So I just think it was probably the right thing to do. And again, I tell people I'm not a career politician, and if it's not to be, it's not to be. But I felt it was just the right thing to do, and try to get in the Senate, and try to obviously do what's best for Alaska.
Well, one of the things that I appreciate about you is that politicians, they have Facebook pages, right? Facebook's been around for a long time. You can go back. Somebody could go back on your Facebook and look to see what you're like before you were elected, and then after you're elected, and you're out there hunting wolverines, the same thing you were before you're elected to when you are elected. And I think that says a lot about who you are as a person. And just little things like you're on the show wearing Carhartts. I mean, it's like, and you could probably care less. And I think that's sometimes missed. Authenticity is missed in today's day and age of being a politician. My next question to you is this. So I appreciate that about you. My next question to you is, I recently saw a Facebook post where you had put up a picture of, I think, 1990, where you guys were the basketball champions. Talk to me a little bit about playing at that level, the maybe the stress that comes with it. You have to perform under pressure. Has that set you up for, being an elected official? Tell me about how that kind of shapes who you are as a person.
Yeah, no, I think it does. Obviously, a lot of people don't know, but I grew up in Northway, which was, it was at the time about 250 people. Our school only had like 20 kids in high school, and we didn't play by classification. I mean, we did have a classification, but we played the best schools. We tried to play all the 4A schools, and we were ranked in the top 5 in the 4A schools as a thing. And I ended up being actually the state player of the year my senior year for the entire state, that small school, little school. So it earned me a scholarship, and that was my main goal, was to make sure my parents didn't have to help pay for college, right? So, I accomplished that goal. But I think sports brings a lot to people's lives. You learn how to win, you learn how to lose, and no matter what you do, you're always going to lose something. But I think what it drove me to do is realize that if I have to lose, I want to be the best at losing, and I don't want to lose again. Kind of one of those things. So it did set me up for successes later on. One of the heartbreaks is we lost the state championship my senior year to Cake in double overtime, right? And I spent 4 years playing basketball to win a state championship for our town. So heartbreak is always there. It's real, but it just makes you stronger. So I always use those per se losses as a challenge to be better.
That's awesome. Take me back. Take me. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, and then so you talk to UEF, and obviously college is a lot different, and you're playing at a much higher level. I mean, we played against people that actually played in the NBA, so I know what talent it takes to play at that level. So it was definitely a rewarding time.
Take me back to that moment of that season where you guys, I think you won. You were conference champions. That's a big deal for college. You're playing very high level. Take me back to that moment. What was that like?
It was amazing, and I'll just give you a quick background on it. We entered that. It was my sophomore year. We entered that season. I think we finished Christmas break about maybe like 7-7, and one kid had failed that semester, and another kid just decided to go back home to Arizona. So before I know it, we're playing. We go on the road, to California, Hawaii, and we get back home, and coach was like, "Cronk, you're starting." And we were like the college bad news bears of college basketball, because everybody knew what we were doing, but they couldn't stop us, right? We were like, it was like really special. We all came together, and we ended up playing. Believe it or not, we played the University of Alaska Anchorage at the Patty Center for the championship game, the last game of the season, and the Patty Center was packed. They turned away 500 people at the door. And it was like winning the NBA championship. We beat them, and then we got to go to the NCAA tournament, which was Division II. So it was a really great time for Fairbanks. That was one of the probably one of the best sports moments Fairbanks has ever had.
That's pretty cool. So talk to me a little bit about you were a teacher for your career, a basketball coach. Alaska has this funny thing where conservatives seem to have a beef with teachers. You've been able to kind of navigate those waters and kind of find a respectful way to be a conservative, but also care about education. Talk to me a little bit about that and how it's been so far.
Yeah, you're right. It just seems to, if you look at everybody, whether it's the NEA or the Association of School Boards, they all support the Democrats that are running and stuff. And I refuse to join the NEA as a teacher. Everybody's like, "Oh, you got to join the union." I was like, "I will not join the union. They do not support what I support, whether it's gun control or other things." And I said, "I'm not spending $800 on them." And they finally just gave up. So I never was part of the NEA for 25 years, but it's teachers. I love are I said it before. I said, I don't believe any teacher wakes up in the morning and says, "Hey, I'm going to do a really crappy job teaching kids today." It's really hard, especially when you're in a smaller place. Kids that don't have a great home life. Those kids. And for me, I tried to it was more of a tough love thing for me, because I truly believe that kids that don't have discipline actually crave discipline. And that's really weird to say, but I think they develop a respect for you because they know that you actually care. You're trying to get them to do the right thing. And navigating this now, in the legislature, I do believe those people involved know that I understand, as a teacher, and then I was a regional school board member. I kind of understand the whole game of this whole thing. And my bottom line is, what are we doing for our kids? Our kids always have to be the number one, right? And I can be attacked for not overriding the governor's veto, et cetera, et cetera. But my true love is, are we getting our funding to the kids? And do we have those expectations? Because when you don't have expectations, there's no reason to work hard. Kids have to have a purpose. We got to give our kids a purpose. And just going through the motions isn't good enough for me, because, I love my state. I love our people, but we have to have a workforce coming up, and that is our responsibility. So that's I think I navigated through that. Common sense. I don't think I've never been a mean person, and just you bring common sense to the table, and people like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." And so that's kind of what I try to bring.
Nice. So what has been maybe a pleasant surprise for you, and maybe something that you haven't liked being an elected official? It's one thing to um, be a teacher that's still kind of public, right? You're working for a school district. It's another thing to be an elected official. Is there something that sticks out to you where you really have enjoyed this aspect of it and maybe not enjoyed another aspect of it you could share with us?
I think the part that I enjoy the most is when somebody calls or sends you a message and they need some help, right? And even if you can't figure out a way to help them, they appreciate that you took the time to actually help them, right? And just to, I tell people all the time that the one thank you during the year is enough to keep you going, right? And but the downside of it is it, it's the dishonesty, right? Because if I tell you something, I'm sticking to it. That's what's going to happen. I tell people all the time, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth, right? And so I think being brutally honest, but when it's the dishonesty, and it really, when you leave Juneau, sometimes it like hurts your soul because I try, like I said, I don't play, I don't even want to be a politician. I just want to be a representative of the people, right? So I to me that's like a dirty word, but it does hurt your soul. You come back and you're reflecting on what's just happened, and you're like, wow, if every Alaskan knew what really happened down there, they would really be frustrated. But there's also a lot of good we do, so it's kind of a catch 22.
So there's going to be folks that listen to this, and they're going to hear, some people live under a rock, right? This will be the first time they maybe heard from you. What separates from you from your opponent that's running? They have a choice on the ballot box, right? Come November. What are some key distinctives that differentiate the two of you,
I'll say the number
or the
one.
three? I can't remember if there's two or three. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll say the number one is the fact that I'm an Alaskan, and there's this saying, I just saw the other day. I was like, I was grown here, not flown here, right? And I've been here. I have to give this disclaimer. I was like 1 year old. My dad moved up to Elmendorf in the Air Force, so I still call myself a lifelong Alaskan. So I've been here for 53 years, and I've been invested. Alaska is who I am. Anybody that knows me realizes that I'm about Alaska and its people. So I think one of the main things that separates me is I've been involved. I've been in the trenches. I understand Alaska, and I I have seen in my short 53 years of people coming up and trying to change Alaska. Oh, we're going to make it better for you. And it's like, no, we don't want it better. We love Alaska the way it is. So keep your ideologies and your agendas away. My only agenda I have now is Alaska and its people. I didn't come up here, to, have a climate agenda or radical, pro-Palestinian agenda or whatever you want to pro-Hamas, whatever you want. I don't have an agenda. My agenda is to make sure Alaska is the better place to be. I do have the experience when it comes to, especially in rural districts, subsistence hunting and fishing, right? And I feel that probably my short 4 years, I've probably done more in that aspect, representing rural Alaska to make sure that we're doing better for that, and then also the third with education. Everybody, I say this all the time, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to Democrats or anybody that's running opposite of what I'm running, but it's really easy to say yes to everything. It takes it's very hard to say no. Like, for example, being on finance, we had funding for dementia, right? We do have funding for dementia in the state, but they wanted more funding, and my mom just passed away in December from dementia. It's a very hard vote to say no to more funding, but you have to be the adult in the room. It's easy to tell everybody, yes, 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 we're gonna do $400 more million of education funding. But my thing is that's easy. It's a lot harder to say no and expect results and actually want change that Alaska wants. So I guess my those things three separate me is the fact that I am a lifelong Alaskan, and I'm not leaving here. I'm never going to leave here. I've been all over across the world, and this is the best place in the world to live. And I want my kids and my grandkids. So what I do now, I hope when I'm gone, it's still in effect. We have to have a vision. So that's my purpose. I think that's what separates me.
Nice. So talk to me a little bit about hunting. It's a big part of your life. If anybody has seen any of your Facebook stuff, you're hunting a lot, right? You're fishing, you're gathering, you're doing all those things. Talk to me about why that's important to you and really important for most Alaskans.
I, you know, and I don't want to separate this because I know there's lots of urban Alaskans that depend on, fish and game, for their freezers. It saves a big bill. I think just, growing up in Northway, it's really funny. People are like, oh my God, you grew up out there. And I couldn't have grew up in a more better place than Northway. The Upper Tanana at the Baskins took me in, taught me everything. And really what's interesting is my life revolves around seasons, right? Which theirs did, springtime they were in this camp, in summertime this camp, fall time this camp, wintertime. And so my life revolves around that still. But just being involved in knowing that how important that food is for everyday life is really a driver behind, I just grew up doing it, and it's part of who I am. It's like, moose season's in effect here. I'll be heading out on the 9th and, have 10 days out there. We have a very short season, but that fills our freezer. I have 4 daughters and that helps feed them, but I share with my elders around. Whoever needs something, I'm more than willing to share. So I think it's really hard to describe. It's a bigger picture than just, hey, I'm just going hunting.
Yeah,
It's like who you are. So hard to explain.
I like it. So tell folks how they can get a hold of you. You got a website, send it Facebook page. You have any events coming up? Give us all those details.
Yeah, my website is it's straight up pretty easy. Cronk for Alaska. That's all spelled out.com. Facebook is Mike Cronk for Shannon, I believe. But we have a fundraiser actually tomorrow is the 5th, I believe, up in Fairbanks at Pump House. The governor's going to be there. We'll eventually have one in Anchorage, I think beginning October. We haven't set the schedule for that one yet, but we're looking forward to spending a lot of time up in Fairbanks, especially in October, making sure that there's a lot of people that may not know who I am. They've heard of me, but not don't know me well enough to say, hey, we're ready to vote for you. So I need to make sure I close those gaps, and make sure I'm taking care of the people in my district. I'm still a representative right now, and like I said before I got on here, we're working through a water issue in one of our towns. That before winter sets in, it's really important to make sure that we are taking care of the people at the same time. So it'll be a busy next 2 months.
Nice. Well, we wish you nothing but luck here. We're big fans of what you're doing. You have any last minute thoughts before we head off? The floor is yours.
No, I just, I guess my message to people in Alaska is like, there's a lot of people out there that we have a lot of great people doing good things, for the right reasons. And again, I've always said it all along. It's like, I don't have to do this job. I want to do this job, and it's not about Mike Cronk. It's about Alaska, and it's about its people. So I hope people remember that. It's like, myself, I'm not I'm just like everybody else. I'm still going to live my life. You can go back through Facebook on my Facebook. I've never deleted anything. People told me to do that. Delete your Facebook. So I'm like, nope, I'm who I am. Take it or leave it. You're going to see Mike Cronk is Mike Cronk. So I guess that's my message. I am who I am.
Nice. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show. You're welcome back anytime. For folks that listen in, maybe just cut the tail end. I want to encourage you to go back and listen to the whole thing. We'll put the links to the campaign website and Facebook in the podcast description. And for folks out there enjoying the fall, go enjoy it maybe this weekend. If you're in town in Nikiski or around Nikiski this weekend, we're having our annual car show at Nikiski Hardware and Supply this weekend. Free show. Probably the biggest car show in Alaska. 500-600 people come out to it. You're more than welcome to come on out. And folks, we hope you have a great rest of your day. Until next time, I'm John Quick from somewhere in Alaska.